Hi, kindergarten. Today we're going to talk about having fractions on the number line. This is a really exciting, really interesting lesson because we've been talking up till now about making fractions out of stuff and things like circles and cookies and donuts. But now I'm going to show you how to split up the number line into fractions. Okay, let's look at this top line. If this was a part of the number line and you saw 0 on this end, and you saw 1 on this end, what would be on this part of the number line if this line just kept going? What number would be over here? 2. 2 comes after 1. But look here. Here's 0, and here's 1, and you've got all this space in between them. So I wonder, would we have a number somewhere in here? Let's look at this line down here. Same line as the top. 0 on this end, 1 on this end. Now, can you split this second line into halves? We know that a half or halves are 2 equal pieces of one whole. And there, it's got the number 1 right there. It's a whole line, right? How could you split that in half? I want you very gently and very carefully to take your finger. I'm going to pause for a second. I want you to take your finger and very gently touch the screen where you think would be the halfway on this second line. Halfway between 0 and 1. Very gently. All right, I'm going to pause for just a second. Okay, did you put your finger where you think it was halfway? All right, let's see. Okay, so halfway between 0 and the 1 is right about here. I think you're right. The half would be right about there. So I would put my line right about in there. I think you're right. So this is a number line, right? A number line has numbers on it, but this has no number. What number do you think I would write here? You know about halves, and I've shown you how to write the number for half. So what number would be there? It would be, let's see, I'll give you a hint too. If the number is between 0 and 1, you know it can't be 2 because that would be greater than 1. So it has to be something smaller than 1. And you know how to write a half in numbers. It looks like, that's right, 1 over 2 or 1/2. It would look like this. So I would write 1/2. That's the number for 1/2. Very good. Kindergarten, you guys are doing great. This is tricky, but you are doing excellent. Let's look at the next slide. Okay. All right. So you guys were so smart about halves. Ooh, let me move my face out of the way. Okay. You guys were so smart about showing me half on the number line, halfway between 0 and 1. Let's see if you could split this line down here into quarters. Now, we know, I'm going to remind you that quarters are 4 equal pieces of one whole. That means you're going to need to show 4 equal pieces somewhere on this line between 0 and 1. So I'm going to stop for a second and I'm going to let you use your finger gently to, okay, like I was saying, sorry. I want you to use your finger very gently again to carefully touch the places where you think we could split this line up into 4 equal pieces or 4 equal fourths. So very carefully use your finger. Where do you think the first one would be? Where do you think the second one would be? Where do you think the third one would be? Where do you think the fourth one would be? Well, now that you've done that, I'm going to give you a hint. You probably figured it out, but I'm just going to show you something that will make it easier. So if you look up at this halves line above, use it kind of as a guide, you remember how we figured out with the Play-Doh yesterday that there are 2 quarters in a half and 2 halves in a whole? So, and there are 4 quarters in a whole, we know that. So if we put a line here, straight down, if we looked at that straight down, we would just make another half, right? Okay, we know that, that's a half, right? But if we split the half in half, we would get, what would we get? 2 quarters. Exactly. We cut the half in half, and that makes 2 quarters. And then over here, if we split this half in half, we would get, how many would we get? We would get 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. Right. So have we got all 4 quarters now? I think so. We've got 4 equal pieces that equal 1 whole. We got to 1, and we have 4 pieces. So we have a whole. Here's the challenge for you. What numbers would I write underneath these lines? Well, it's not as hard as you think because we already figured out how to write the quarter, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's count the first quarter. Here's 1 quarter. How do you write 1 quarter, the number 1 quarter? That's right. It looks like 1/2, but it's over 1 over 4, or 1 next to 4, because it's 1/4. So here's my 1/4 number. I'm going to write it right there. So if that's 1/4, how many fourths is this? 2, exactly right. So that's 2/4 goes right under there. Now, if that's 2/4, how many is this? 3/4. You got it. 3/4 goes right underneath there like this. And then for an extra super duper challenge, this says 1 already, but we also know that 1 whole is equal to how many fourths? How many quarters? 4 quarters. So you can also write 4/4. Fancy. You're going to be super extra smart with this when you get to 1st grade. Okay, so I'm going to look at the next slide, all right? Now, I want you to look at all these slides together. Let me see if I can move my face somewhere that's not in the way. Kind of in the way of everything. I don't know, guys. Can you still see it if I move it over here? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so here's my whole line up here. Between 0 and 1, no cuts, no divisions. It's all just one piece. I haven't chopped it up. 1 whole, right. Okay, now here's my second line. I've cut it in half 1 time, so it is 2 halves, 2 equal halves. And then here's my third line. I have cut it into quarters. So there are 4 equal quarters here. Between 0 and 1, there's a 4th and 2/4 and 3/4. Now, look at all 3 of these lines together. Do you notice any kind of pattern here? Let me see. I kind of notice that every time I go down a line, the halves of the halves get smaller. Does that make sense? So here's a hole, and then I cut that hole into halves. And then I go down one, and I cut those halves into halves. I wonder, if I put another line down here, what would that line look like? Would I be able to cut that line up into sections? Let's see if I could do that. I'm going to challenge you guys. Here's my line. What if I cut this line into halves? Where would those halves be? Well, one of them would be kind of here, in between 0 and 1/4. Let me move my face. Here you can see it better. And one of them might be here, between 1/4 and 2/4. And if I got one here, it's going to get smaller, right? Yep. And I've got one there, because I'd be cutting these in fourths. And I can move another one here between 2/4 and 3/4. And the lines just keep getting smaller, don't they? Interesting. All right, that was just a challenge. Sorry, not to confuse you. Let's look at the last page. All right, on this page. This is your work for today. I want you to look at this page and fill in the numbers that are missing underneath these lines. We've talked about it, so I think you can remember it. But if you need help, you can come back to this video and pause on the screen. This one. Pause on this screen. I'm going to move these out of the way so they're not in the way of what you're looking at. Because this screen has what we just talked about, how to write the numbers on the number line for halves and quarters. And you can fill in on this page the missing numbers. All right? All right. And don't forget to write your name on it so I can see it. And I would love for you to hold up this work because I want to see if you guys can do it. All right. Good luck. I've had fun doing fractions with you. I will see you later. Bye, kindergarten.